Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 2 of the Onyx Tarot Reading Podcast. So, today we're going to be looking into March the 15th through March the 21st. So, the main theme of this week is Venus in Sagittarius. So, think flirtation, excitement, adventure, spontaneity. People are going to be drawn to fun experiences. You may get last minute invitations or opportunities that feel thrilling. There may be certain events that are taking place that usually aren't taking place, whether tied to the weather or different group events. But the question of this week is very simple. What excites you? So if you think of that Venus and Sagittarian like energy that I pull for this entire week, you're thinking of fun, you're thinking of travel, you're thinking of expansion. You're thinking of what kind of book can I read? What kind of new show can I watch? What do I want to do that is considered a hobby that, may not make me money, but I really want to do it, right? You're really thinking about what you really want to do that will really make you excited to wake up and do it. So, is this an idea? Is this a project? Is this a relationship? Is this a trip? Are you excited about a particular person? Or is it the adventure that sparks your joy? These are questions that a lot of you will ask of yourself this week. So I say think of it like rainbows in the sky, unicorns floating around. What makes your heart excited, right? Is it a certain career? Like really pause and reflect and think, what do I want to do? What makes me excited this week? And take a second to really feel it. So the focus is what you want versus your current obligations. This week is going to ask you to look inward at your true desires and not at what's expected of you. So Sunday into Monday is going to be probably the most important days of this week because the energy is really asking you to fine-tune your vision for relationships, friendships, business models, family dynamics, where you want to live or where you don't want to live. This week is going to be a huge clarity week. You're going to get to decide what aligns with your gut and your soul, not just your obligations. And a lot of you as well, you may be like, okay, I want to do this, but I don't feel necessarily excited about this or that. But you may find that certain situations, certain dynamics, certain conflicts, certain just random things, random coincidences that are happening may actually be leading you or giving you tools to kind of say, I'm not happy here. I would like to change this. I don't want to be in this career or this job or this relationship for the rest of the year or for next year. I want to do something completely different. So this week, you may be starting with this excitement and again, getting invited to certain things, reading new books, all of the things. And then as quickly as the days go by, the energy quickly moves to practical decisions. So these opportunities are going to be like right in front of you. You can grasp them. So maybe it's a book that's been on your bookshelf that you've been wanting to read forever, right? Maybe it's someone saying, hey, I want to travel here. Do you want to come with me? Maybe it's someone you're dating that says, hey, I signed us up for this, so let's go ahead and do it. Others of you, it could be trips or flights, selling property or assets, filing important paperwork, having important meetings, shifting a work or lifestyle dynamic. So there's kind of like a big shift, but the main energy is saying, how do I make this real? How can I make these goals real? And again, a lot of you may be going throughout the week as you hear this, and you may be like, wait, I just opened that book, so now I really want to look into doing this. Or I just had this conversation, so really I would like to do this as a hobby or as a career. Or I really want to go down this route. Or maybe again, it's like, this relationship is not exactly working for me, but this is what I would want to do afterwards. So kind of think of this as like steps. So step A would be identifying your excitement. What do I want to do? What is exciting for me? Where do I want to be? What kind of schedule do I want to have? What kind of person do I want to be with? What city do I want to live in? Step B is going to be assess the practicality. How can I actually make this happen? In 6 months, I can move here. Next year, I can do this. I can study for this and go to school to do this. How is it going to be practical? Step C is take action that aligns with your happiness. So then you're going to actually be able to sign up for that hobby or read that book or travel to this place or book your flight to this place, for example. You all may kind of have some type of indecision, and this is based on family, friends, and partners that may challenge your choices or say, that's not really a good idea, or you work so hard in this area, why would you just give that up? Or why would you shift this? Or why would you change that? Fairness does not mean pleasing everyone. Your path and the things that you're wanting to do is your path. They're not going to be understood by everyone, or they're not going to be understood by your friends or your family members or your coworkers. Your path is strictly based on what's going to make you happy. This week, it could be very helpful to step into your Leo energy, your Leo confidence. So showing who you are, what you like, and what you bring to the table. The more confident that you all are, it attracts more opportunities. You get more influence this week. People are going to respect you more. People are going to be noticing your energy when you feel sure of yourself. So anything that you're going into, certain meetings you're going into, certain things you're saying, whatever you're broadcasting or communicating, the more confident that you are, the better. And if people say certain things like, that's not really that realistic, or, I don't think you're ready for that, it could be helpful also to think about empathy. So having empathy, not only for yourself, but also for people that may be giving you advice, for family and for friends, could be very helpful to kind of think, okay, why would they say that? Or why won't they support me? Or why do they have that perspective? Because anything that's going to take away from your confidence, or, you starting to second guess yourself, is not going to be productive or as productive as you all going into something and starting your day being confident and pouring into yourself and saying, this is what I worked my butt off for. This is how much time I put into this job or this career or this dynamic. So I know exactly what I'm doing. Also this week, there's someone in particular that I'm picking up on that is going to be of great influence or a trusted advisor for you. So this person is going to be very fair, very balanced, very supportive. This could be a friend, a family member, an advisor, a collaborator, or even a company, or even a book. This person's going to protect you from manipulation or unhealthy dynamics. And so utilizing their guidance this week to make strategic choices and kind of like listening to this person that you really trust could be very helpful. So for example, you may get advice about leaving a toxic work environment or leaving a toxic relationship or something that just doesn't align with you. It doesn't have to be toxic, but it's just like you wake up and you're like, this is not what I want to do. This is not what I want to be involved in. This is not how I want to live. This is not, this is not what I want to be doing 10 years from now, or how I want to be living 10 years from now. So this person may give you advice, but basically you're going to know who this person is because they're going to match your long-term energy. Like they're going to get exactly what direction you all are going in this week. So your connection or your relationship or partnership to this person is going to lead to long-term collaboration. So a lot of you all are going to be stepping into or meeting or collaborating with people that are going to be a huge part of your life in the future, whether you see it now or not. And again, this could be romantic, this could be professional, this could be creative, but you're going to be collaborating with someone in particular, negotiating with them, and they're going to be very much aligning to your long-term goals. So you're going to easily be able to see who benefits from your present and who doesn't. So with this person being in your life, or again, you randomly meeting this person, you're going to clearly be able to see, I've been listening or aligning myself with this person or this group or this family member, but this person has all the answers. There's going to be a clear, concise difference. And again, this is really more so to lead you kind of away from people that don't have your best long-term interests and to guide you into people that do have your best long-term interests. So basically, instead of calling this out, it could be helpful to just use it as insight for healthy boundary setting. So when these people, places, and things that you're kind of putting together, they don't really have my best interest anyway. When they give you advice, kind of just understanding that maybe you won't take it this time. That kind of thing could be helpful. But boundaries are going to be very important. Finding out who's in your corner, who's not in your corner is going to be very important. And it's going to be very easy, or could be easier to see based on who aligns with your long-term goals and who doesn't. Who is doing things that support you and who doesn't. Who's going against you or making something harder for you or making even day-to-day harder for you or miscommunicating what you're actually saying. Who's doing that, right? Because the energy is going to be showing you all who you're supposed to kind of be inching away from as you're moving forward towards where you're meant to be. By the end of this week, a lot of you all will kind of return to the basics and kind of be back to practicality and grounding yourself. So you may be back to daily routine, back to finances and what you're going to do financially, back to work responsibilities, that kind of thing. So it's going to be helpful here to avoid extremes or trying to prove a point unnecessarily, especially for those of you who are in negotiations, or again, you're dealing with family members or friendships or people at work that don't really have your best interests. Focusing on building your life, again, that step A, step B, step C could be very helpful, but not fighting to prove how right you are, how wrong someone else is. Again, I feel like the more that you focus on your next steps, the more that you're going to see how not to get entangled with little conversations, little disagreements, little arguments this week. So for example, say you're getting into kind of like a disagreement or you're, hashing out certain things with someone. Instead of hashing that out and saying, hey, you did this and you did that, and I don't feel like this was right, how are you going to take practical action? So the thing from the very beginning, that step A, B, and C kind of goes throughout the whole week. Friendships, family members, work environments. How can you take practical action versus imploding or versus exploding in a conversation with someone else? So instead of going back and forth with someone and wasting that energy that you could be putting into your step A, step B, step C, how can you take steps to leave a situation? It's going to take me this amount of months or this amount of years to get out of this, and this is how I'm going to do it. How can you reduce the energy spent? Instead of calling this person every day, or instead of being in the house every day, I'm going to do this instead for this period of time, right? Or instead of, going to this group event, I'm going to focus on my new hobby, that kind of thing. So how can you take practical action? I feel like that is going to really help a lot of you be more grounded with the energy, especially if people are trying to push you into one way or another, tied to your goals and tied to what you're wanting to do in the future. It could be very helpful to avoid unnecessary conflict or rebellion this week. Try not to fight with people, okay, unnecessarily. Of course, advocating for yourself is helpful, but this week is like really not the week to fighting just to prove that you're right. Ending cycles or relationships that don't serve you strategically, but not emotionally, could be helpful. So again, this week you may be seeing, okay, this is not the person for me, or this is not the job for me, or this is not the dynamic for me. But again, are you going to emotionally react and prove a point and say, I'm leaving this job, I'm leaving this relationship, I'm not being friends with you anymore? Or are you going to strategically, again, step A, step B, step C, I want to do this, so I'm going to focus more on this, that kind of thing. Asking yourself also, will this matter in the long term? Will this disagreement or this point that I'm trying to prove or this argument, is it going to matter in 3 years? Ask yourself that, okay? Because I do feel, again, that it may be very easy to fall into traps, okay? And again, when I do a lot of readings, I see a trap a lot of the time. A lot of people can collectively get caught up in proving a point, okay? You want to be right. Or a lot of you can focus on how you're going to strategically figure out the solution without having to prove a point to anyone. So either way that it goes, will this matter in the long term? Will this argument or disagreement, will this matter? A lot of you may be negotiating with people, and again, friendships, relationships, family matters, work environments, and advocating for yourself is going to be very, very, very important this week. So negotiating for fairness and clarity. This is not fair, but this would be how I believe it would be fair. Again, tapping back into that Leo-like confidence could be helpful too. And kind of being in a space where everybody's on the same page and everyone understands what exactly is going on could be very beneficial for you versus trying to prove a point or trying to be right. Empathy is key, so that empathy comes back in to this, dynamic. Seeing multiple perspectives while also protecting your boundaries could be helpful. Yes, I see that, so one could essentially be overreacting in this way or this way, but these are my boundaries. This is what I need. This is what I think is best. This is what I think is fair. And asking yourself also, what is fair for me? Because again, a lot of you all may be seeing that you could have been, overextending yourself for a lot of people, for friends, for family, for jobs. And this is a time for you all to really take time to say, you know what, this doesn't work for me, and this is what I'm going to change, and this is what I need to change. This could be about a salary negotiation or a collaborative work agreement or personal boundaries in a relationship. Also, some of you may be asking for shared responsibilities at home. Hey, I can do this if you do this, or clearer expectations at work. Hey, I've been doing this person's work and this person's work. I would like to do this instead. Or, hey, this is where I've been extending myself. This is what I'm asking for. Okay, so that's kind of like an example of like understanding what's fair for you versus putting other people ahead of you. But also, again, not advocating in the sense of, oh, I want to be right. Oh, I've been doing this, I've been doing that. But again, focusing on fairness and clarity, I feel will get you further this week. Going back to the main theme of this week. This week is supposed to be fun. A lot of healing is actually going to come from fun and enjoyment this week. While a lot of you may be focusing on negotiations when it comes to your dynamics and your friendships or your relationships or your work environments, socializing, adventures, and hobbies may actually help restore clarity and your energy. So again, I feel like this isn't really a week, like a heavy week. I feel like it's more so a planning week, and it's also a week that you're kind of like, you know what? I don't like to do this. This is what I want to do instead. It's not really a week where, again, you're supposed to be emotionally reactive or in disagreements or in arguments with people. It's more so saying, you know what, I'm sick of arguing, or I'm sick of, doing everybody's work, or I'm sick of doing this. I'm sick of being in this career, or I'm sick of being in this relationship. So here are my plans to move away, or these are my plans to move out of the situation. This is my plan to quit in a year or two, or whatever that looks like for you all. This week is also a great week for planning your future. Planning for what you're wanting long term is going to be very helpful, because again, these are just 2 important weeks since I've started this podcast that are going to really predict the rest of you all's year. So this week, you're also gaining tools, knowledge, creative power. You're having confidence. You're like, this is what I want to do. This is how I'm going to get there. And this is when I'm going to do it. Having patience is also going to be very helpful too. You're going to be able to see the future before it's physically manifested. So a lot of you are going to be looking back at this time in this week of March where you're like, you know what? I remember when I was walking away from that dynamic, or when I spoke up about this and this, then it changed in the future. Or, last year I was in this place and now this year I'm in this place because I actually made this major change. And a lot of you may be seeing that this major change that may be manifesting in the future started in March. So you guys are really in a space where you are preparing, again, for long-term success. You're seeing the bigger picture. Focusing on alignment with yourself and your energy could be very helpful here. Who is in your corner? Who shares your vision? Who respects your energy? Who respects what you want? That's going to be very helpful because, again, the more that you see it like that versus seeing like, oh my goodness, I can't believe this person said this or did this or did this or did that. Seeing these things as clues to actually lead you to where you're meant to be could be helpful here. Thinking of this week kind of like it's a rehearsal for your bigger moves. Are you launching a business? Are you ending a relationship? Are you moving cities? Like, what are you really planning in that step A? And thinking of this like, okay, this is my trial, this is my trial week to kind of set that up, to kind of prepare for the future could be helpful. Also, reflecting on who you trust for guidance is going to be helpful too. As mentioned, a lot of you are going to be really connected with one particular person who you're really going to trust their best instincts, and you're really going to trust their advice. And they're also not going to have judgment tied to the things that you're really wanting in your gut. For some of you also, they could also like nudge you in a certain direction. Like, you remember when you said that you wanted to do this? Do you still want to do that? Also thinking about who you want to build with long term could be helpful as well, because I do feel that the energy right now is really trying to show you all what people, places, things, lifestyles, and dynamics no longer align with you all. So the key takeaways for this week, Sunday, March the 15th through Saturday, March the 21st. Excitement is your compass. Notice what sparks your joy. Notice what makes you excited. Notice what city you want to live in. Notice what kind of person you would want to be with. Notice what kind of leader you want to be in the future. What does that look like? Like, what excites you? Okay, because that is going to lead you to step A, step B, and step C. Also, trust your gut. Your happiness is going to take priority. If you feel, that's interesting that I trust this person and they said this or they did that against what I wanted or against what they know that are my boundaries, that's going to be, again, your key, your radar, like, maybe this is not really the person for me. Your confidence this week attracts a lot of opportunities. Own your energy. Do not walk into rooms, dynamics, meetings, conversations thinking, oh, I don't know what I'm doing, or I don't know if I know enough, or they may have more experience than me, or they may be older or younger than me. Really have confidence, and really, even if you have to kind of say, I've done this for this amount of years, this amount of times, or this is what I've accomplished, speak that into yourself. Speak a lot of life into yourself this week, because it could definitely lead you to better outcomes and more opportunities in the future. Who are your allies? This is going to be, again, a great week to see who's on your team, who supports what you're doing, who supports your goals, who talks down on your goals, or who does things that work directly against you, right? A lot of you, again, there's going to be a fair, balanced advisor, whether it's romantic, whether it's platonic, whether it's business, whether it's at work, but you're going to be shown who is actually in your corner this week. For those of you negotiating, and again, you can negotiate even in relationships or friendships, but any type of negotiation this week should be done very wisely. So advocating for yourself with empathy of other perspectives, but also, again, What is fair for you? What have you put into this that you feel is unfair versus I want to prove a point. I want to win at all costs. And this is how I feel. Negotiating wisely could definitely lead you further, not only in relationships, but also business matters as well. Balancing fun and practicality could be helpful, planning while enjoying. So again, this is going to be a week of planning. However, kind of having fun and hanging out with your friends or starting a new hobby or whatever brings you excitement could be helpful. Not being all super, super, super serious this week could be very helpful. Lastly, avoiding drama is going to be very important this week. Act strategically and not reactively. If you're dealing with people that are trying to trigger you or trying to get you to do certain things, or they're wanting you to play into their trap, or they're wanting to kind of like get some type of reaction out of you, or even if you're dealing with someone like a family member and you're like, you know what, I know that they're not trying to get a reaction out of me, but I know that they did this to spite me, or they did this against what I asked. Act strategically and not reactively. Kind of see people baiting you as a way to make it harder to accomplish your step A, step B, step C, your long-term goals. This is a week to say, okay, before I react, where do I want to be in 6 months? Where do I want to be in 1 year? Okay, is this conversation, is this disagreement, is this interaction going to be worth it, tied to what I'm going to or what I'm planning for the future? That could be very important to think about this week. In closing, this week is about choices, partnerships, confidence, and clarity. Aligning yourself with excitement and the things that you really want to do, but also setting boundaries and trusting your process could be very helpful. And also observing who supports you, who doesn't, and what next steps lead to after that, because again, a lot of us may be in spaces where we think someone's really supportive of us, but it's actually not really the case, which is where a person that we really trust or an advisor or someone comes in like, hey, you would be really good at this, or hey, this is the direction that you should go into. Taking a moment to ask yourself, what are you saying yes to this week? What are you saying no to this week? Where do you want to direct your energy this week? It could be very helpful because, again, this week is going to be leading you to figuring out where you're going to be next, like later on this year. So I do hope this was helpful. Thank you all so much for being here and have a great week. And I'll see you at the next podcast.